All right. What's going on, guys? How you doing? Welcome back to Black Bear News, where everything is connected. The early chatters are in, even though I am late. I apologize for the time change. Thank you guys for showing up anyways. Um, yeah, I just had a very late morning, so I was in no way, shape, or form capable of doing the show at 11, so had to push it back. Thanks for hanging, though. Thanks for being here. Nazma Nabs, you like censoring Trump or banning Trump? You think you're not a fan of conspiracy theories? I'm guessing. What's up, Kuro? How you doing? Poppy Davis, Hunter Z, Irk1, Realize, Duncan McCown, Crackling. Jesus, is that right? It's not. Um, yeah, we got people on Rockfin, Urban Hermit, and Sweetleaf. It's not supposed to start with a crackle. The crackle is supposed to come later, when everything gets warm. Anyways, it should be fixed now. Should be fixed now. Realize says if you're not feeling the miracle of life, change your life. There you go. Max RJ says miracles happen all the time. Most cannot see. Indeed. Well, I mean, if I don't know, if you don't wake up every day, or at least have the realization every day that like the absolute randomness of us actually being here, the the insanely complicated factors that allow us to be here aren't in and of themselves a miracle. I don't know. I mean, that hits me all the time. I'm just like, this is just insane. Like, it's insanely beautiful, though. Cringe, Nasmanabs. What's cringe? Trump injecting bleach, or talking about it, or are you just against? Are you just against the miracle of life? You're just against it, Nasmanabs. Stop being such a contrarian. Jesus. Rich Diana says T Dump went berserk when Twitter banned him permanently. It was his opiate. I mean, it's a bit of an addiction, don't you think? For some people. I mean, even if there's a reason why I can't have my phone for a while. I start to go, I think there was something I was supposed to do. I think it's looking at my phone. Kiro Hike says, it is a miracle so long as you are not the life being consumed by life. Well, we're all consumed, aren't we? Eventually. All of us are consumed. Irk1 says, if censorship were a logical or moral decision, there would barely be any content in social media. All right. Well, yeah, and that's funny that you guys bring that up, because we are going to talk about that eventually. We're going to get to that. Yeah, I saw that Curo, that Parler was taken off of Apple and Google Plus or what? I don't know. Whatever the interesting though. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Not sure I'm a fan of the censorship. I think you all know that. Not sure I'm a fan of the censorship. And quickly before we move on, this idea that you have to shield from people from ideas because they'll do the wrong things or they won't be able to handle information or discern good and bad. Basically kind of treating people like children. Which isn't so far off, but I find it an interesting turn of I don't know. I find it an interesting mental trick, right? So if somebody's saying those people have to be shielded from this information, otherwise it will mean very bad things. On some levels, they're telling you don't have the discernment either, right? They're saying, in case you decide to become one of them, or you decide that you don't want, you know what I'm saying? You're not just shielding those people from information. We're shielding you from the information as well. So, if you think it's, they're too dumb to understand, discern what's best for them based on, given the facts or based on truth or information, they're actually saying that you can't discern that either. And why people cannot make the leap from those people to themselves is a little silly to me, because eventually we'll all of us will come into contact with information that we might go, well, this could mean that, thinking about this or consuming this or trying to understand this might take me to a place that might put me on the other side of, being in the safe circle, right? Being in the cone of safeness, this cone of establishment safeness, the cone of fact checked, right? Kiro Hike says conservatives blamed the Jews. Jews did it. Okay. Okay. I don't know. I don't know. Duncan McCown, freedom of speech is not just for people you approve of. That would be freedom to say what I like you to say, right? As long as you say the right things, you're okay, right? Don't you ever say those wrong things. Anyways, let's get into it. Interesting. I saw this on the Twitter. I think Mark Cranfield tweeted something out about this. Storm Philomena has blanketed parts of Spain in heavy snow. Whoa. With half of the country on red alert for more on Saturday. Road, rail, and air travel has been disrupted, and Interior Minister Fernando Grande Marlaska has said the country was facing the most intense storm in the last 50 years. Well, if it was, if it happened 50 years ago, that means climate change is all a hoax, because the climate is always changing. See, it happened in the past, so it's just the past repeating itself. I'm just giving some goofy denier argument. Yeah, look at all the snow. Where's all the where's all the global warming? Said Donald Trump. Madrid, one of the worst affected areas, is set to see up to 8 inches or 20 centimeters of snow in the next 24 hours. Further south, the storm caused rivers to burst their banks. 4 deaths have been reported so far as a result of Filomena. Officials said 2 people had been found frozen to death, one in the town of Zarzalejo, northwest of Madrid, and then the other in the eastern city of Calatayud. 2 people traveling in a car were swept away by floods near the southern city of Malaga. As snow fell on Madrid on Friday evening, a number of vehicles became stranded on a motorway near the capital. The city's Barajas airport has closed, along with a number of roads, and all trains to and from Madrid have been canceled. Firefighters were called in to assist drivers who had become stuck. Yeah, that looks like no fun, right? Getting stuck on a road. Hopefully not too far out of town, iced in or stuck on a road, snowed in. I've been there. That's no fun. Firefighters were called in to assist drivers. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez urged people to stay at home and to follow the instructions of emergency services. King Felipe and Queen Letizia took to Twitter to urge extreme caution against the risks of accumulation of ice and snow. Thanks, King and Queen. The country's Amet weather agency said the snowfall was exceptional and most likely historic. A number of people were seen making the most of the snowy scenery walking through Madrid's Puerta del Sol Square. Cold weather is set to continue beyond the weekend, with temperatures in Madrid predicted to hit minus 12°C on Thursday. Wow. And I wonder, I don't really wonder, you know, you all know why this is happening. I think people understand, who actually understand the science of climate change, understand this is happening because of climate change. There is most likely a link. Lightning Rod says, this summer I predicted to be hot. Well, yeah, and interesting, you know, we've been having kind of interesting all over the place weather here. Last night we had a weird, kind of gusty, you know, hour or two in the evening, and the temperature went up after it got dark. We had a big old couple of gusts of wind, and it went up to almost 70 degrees at like 8 o'clock at night last night. It was really strange. And beyond that, a friend of mine who lives in New England posted a picture of New England in January, and there's no snow on the ground. It was like all very green, and I was like, that doesn't look like New England is supposed to look like in January. Not at all, not on any level. It looked like spring in New England. It looked like what you might see in, you know, March or April, like little patches of snow here and there, but mostly, you know, green, mostly bare ground. I was like, this is not normal. This is not usual. No. Human Love Solidarity says anti-maskers riot in the UK. We're fucked. Basil Peterson, we have snow here in Finger Lakes. Yeah, good to know, but it's strange, don't you think? I would think, far north New England would have plenty of snow in January and be plenty cold. Kendra Moyer says Michigan is sunny, about 40 degrees. Plants have buds on some of them. Yeah, right. That's not January in Michigan. Yeah. True story. However, Violent Hippie says cold as F here in Texas, right? Yeah, it's all over the place. Jet stream anomalies, everybody on this site. Sorry, let me read that again. Jet stream anomalies, everybody on the site knows what this means. Not a new ice age, Duncan McCown. It means there's warm air in the Arctic. The Arctic is way too warm, pushing out the cold air that should be in the Arctic out to other places, causing, cold spells. It's called the polar vortex, or weather weirding, jet stream loops. Let's move on to this tweet from Ben C. Climate warming is accelerating. Seeing the word acceleration a lot in the last couple days. Acceleration, accelerating. So this is kind of a weird tweet. I don't know if you'd say humorous, funny, I don't know, but a little bit. Well, his follow-up tweet, global warming is accelerating. Fact. Slash emissions to zero before the end of this decade for a chance of decent human survival, says Ben C. Let's look at this a little bigger. Yeah, you know what I mean? This graph is pretty self-explanatory. Here's the line. See the line? See the trend? It's going up, 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 and it's going up. It's going up faster and faster. Faster and faster and faster. He then goes on to say, I'm not ready to declare acceleration. Not yet. Okay. Well, remember when I posted, remember the meme from yesterday attributing a quote to Morgan Freeman that who knows whether he really said that or not? Said something about knowing, seeing the truth and knowing the truth and still accepting lies, right? Or whatever, still denying that it's there. Something, something, something. I'm phrasing it extremely badly, but something about that being very bad, right? Look, man, this is seeing the truth, knowing the truth, saying global warming is accelerating. You know it. But then you're going to go on and say, I'm not ready to declare acceleration. Not yet. Okay, so look, you could say, I'm not ready to declare defeat. I'm not ready to stop trying. I'm not ready to, you could say, I'm not ready to do a whole bunch of things. I'm not ready to stop, trying to fight against, climate change or try to change it or try and awaken the world to the knowledge of climate change and where we're at. But to say I'm not ready to declare acceleration when this graph is all you need to see to know that there's acceleration. It is accelerating. That is a fact. It is indisputable. As indisputable as climate change itself. So you're accepting some kind of lie on this level to say I'm not ready to declare acceleration. Or trying to maybe tell other people that, no, we're not accelerating yet. We're not accelerating, no. But there sure are signs. Oh yeah. Yeah. NASA data shows it. NOAA data shows it. Other data sets, like the ERA5 reanalysis data, show it, but there are caveats. All right, let's look at this a little bit. Let's check this out. Is the apparent recent acceleration in temperature significant? What are you asking? Is the temperature significant or is the acceleration significant? Or both? reader, this is from a blog, I don't know, Tamino, Open Mind, it's called Open Mind, is the apparent recent acceleration in temperature significant? Reader NZCPE wants to know. At the Real Climate blog, reader Robert McLaughlin wants to know. So do a lot of people. According to the data from NASA, it is. It is. Boom. The graph shows yearly averages since 1979. Maybe what Ben C was trying to say is he just doesn't want to accept that it's accelerating yet. And, you know, that's fine. Everybody has their path of acceptance. The graph shows yearly averages since 1979, but we get the same result using higher time resolution, likely monthly averages. The red line with pink shading around it shows the result of fitting a parabolic trend line with its uncertainty range. That's the simplest, most direct way to test for acceleration. Not a panacea, but a natural first step. It easily confirms that acceleration is statistically significant, with the rate of acceleration estimated at what? 0.0006 over 0.00005 C year after year? Okay. According to data from HAD-CRU, it is not. Again, the red line shows a parabolic fit. Again, the red line shows a parabolic fit, but now it looks like a straight line fit because the quadratic coefficient is too small to make the curvature visible. Okay. It's because the estimated acceleration is too small to be statistically significant. Those are just two of the best known global temperature estimates. There are at least three others widely used from NOAA. This is only going back to 1980, by the way. So I think if we zoom out on this temperature graph, golly gee willikers, it's going to look like a curve, right? There are at least three others widely used from NOAA, from Coton and Way, and from Berkeley team. NOAA agrees with NASA that acceleration is statistically significant. Berkeley and Coton and Way agree with HAD-CRU that it is not. Does this mean that the data sets disagree widely, that their results are suspect? Don't be ridiculous. They can disagree about this statistical significance. Even when their estimates are essentially in agreement, let me plot their estimated accelerations with an error bar showing how uncertain each estimate is. Alrighty. Just for fun, I threw in the estimates according to other temperature data sets from RSS, UAH, but they're not for temperature at Earth's surface where we live. They're for temperature in the lower troposphere, the bottom 10 miles or so of the atmosphere. The likely range from every data set overlaps the likely range from every other data set. That's not a proper statistical comparison, but it is a sign that the different data sets essentially agree. If you do the proper statistical comparison, you get the same results. If they agree so well, why do they give different answers to the statistically significant acceleration question? Suppose you and I had to estimate the height of Shaquille O'Neal just from watching the videos of his career as an NBA superstar. You guessed 7 feet 2.5 inches. I guessed 7 feet 1.5 inches. Essentially, we are in excellent agreement, right? But given that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was 7 feet 2 inches tall, we disagree on the question, was Shaq taller than Kareem? All data sets estimate acceleration as upward, not downward. But only NASA and NOAA put it high enough to cross the statistically significant threshold. Global temperature is affected by things. All data sets estimate acceleration. In particular, we know of three natural factors Oh, let me go back one more. Global temperature is affected by things other than human activity. In particular, we know of three natural factors that influence it: ENSO, or El Nino, volcanic eruptions, and changes in the output of the sun. Published research shows the method I use to remove their influence. This helps isolate the part due to humanity. Maybe it will help us to decide whether or not there's acceleration due to humanity. Here's the result for NASA data. As you can see, the amount of fluctuation, the pervasive wiggling up and down, is much smaller now, but the acceleration is still there, at least according to these data. We can similarly adjust all data sets and test for acceleration in the revised data. Here are the rates we find. The results are more precise, the error bars are smaller, but the results are unchanged. What's the bottom line? I'm not ready to declare acceleration, not yet, but there sure are signs. Okay, just repeating. NASA data shows it, NOAA data shows it, other data sets show it. There are signs. I expect by 2025 we'll know much better. If acceleration has begun, we're in far worse shape than we thought. Well, what were we just reading the other day about the fact that we had already reached tipping points, that we had already started feedback loops, and those things actually started in 1950. So I don't know, is it here yet? I expect that by 2025 we'll know much better. If acceleration has begun, we're in far worse shape than we thought. Even if it hasn't, we're already in trouble and headed for much more. Let's not wait to start fixing this, and that means wean ourselves off fossil fuel. Or use some fossil fuel to cook some wieners, whatever you want to do. Whatever floats your boat. Use global warming to cook some wieners. Oh, yes. The violent hippie says, I think we're good. I showed this graph to my blind friend. He said it looks pretty normal to him. And again, I have a huge problem. Realize says gaffs. I have a huge problem with that graph only going from 1980. Because again, if you back up off it, if you zoom out and put that graph out to 1950 or 1900 or whatever you want to do, anytime behind 1980, that curve is going to look a whole lot more pronounced, right? It's going to look, and it's not even, some graphs that go back thousands of years, that curve doesn't even look like a curve. It just looks like a whoop. It looks like a spike. Not acceleration though. No, not acceleration. No. Well, let's just look at that data from 1980, okay? Let's just say we just go from 1980. Is there acceleration? I don't know. Some people say yes, some people say no. As long as we're just looking at 1980, okay? Don't go any farther back. Judy Truitt, is that true? I just cooked a sausage on a hanger in my fireplace. I hope it was delicious. I know. You're right, Poppy Davis. Don't do it. Don't do it. Nazmanab says that graph had a 1900-1950 baseline. Which one? What's she talking about? Did I miss it? Did I do it wrong? This says 1980. 1980. Oh, I was just showing you 1980. 1980. I don't know. Are you talking about a different graph? I don't know. Hello, Rockfinners. How you doing? Kevin Shanholzer is here on Rockfin, hanging out with me. We've got 9 people watching on Rockfin. Love to see y'all on Rockfin, ROKFIN.com. Please come hang out with me there. Sweet Leaf, you have friends who need some assistance. Godspeed to you. I hope that your friends are okay. Ryan Gorman, Papa Davis, Rockfanauts. We're hanging out with Rockfanauts. I'll send you some Rockfanauts. Rockfin Forget-Me-Nots. Urban Hermit. Rich Diana says more than 50% of our total emissions have been spewed in the last 30 years. Uh-oh. Yep. Yes, Irk1. Yes, give me a effing break. 1980 baseline. So ridiculous. Anybody doing 1980 baselines are just on idiocy. Yeah, so let's move on. Let's move on. Here's an interesting thing that Dr. Ayanna Elizabeth Johnson tweeted. I don't know, for your perusal, for your consideration. The Venn diagram of people who push election denial and climate denial has near perfect overlap of both funders and followers. Okay, first of all, I'm going to say this is problematic because election denial is not the same as climate denial. And whose election are we talking about? There was election denial from all of the Democrats for the last 4 years when Trump was on office. So did anybody do a study of election denial and I don't know, whatever else? And warmongering, did that, over the last 4 years, anybody do that study? I don't know. It's a little bit of a ridiculous statement. But anyways, we'll keep going. Excellent piece from B.L. Kahn. Is that Brian Kahn? Connecting the dots between GOP, white supremacy, and the climate crisis. All right, let's check this out for a little bit. I still, look, it's just don't be a hypocrite. Don't be a hypocrite. You spend 4 years saying somebody stole the election and having hearings and meetings and impeachment scenarios and babbity-boos. And then, this time, democracy is working perfectly fine. There's no election fraud. The level of denial in that statement is just off the charts, right? That graph is gone way the fuck off the charts because, it's fine for them. It's fine for us, not fine for them, et cetera, whatever. If you can't see the simplicity of my statement and the veracity of it, I don't know how different to put it. Yeah, but they're wrong and we're right. But the climate crisis will be steroids for fascism. And that's true. I'm going to say ding. Ding to that, for Brian Kahn. The Capitol has a police force with a $500 million budget. Oh, and quickly, I'm going to add, how many lefties were talking about, election integrity was a big subject for Bernie supporters in the last two primaries. Are they all fascists? Are they all climate deniers? No, they're not. So come on. Capitol has a police force with $500 million budget, and yet it failed at its one job. On Wednesday, members of Congress, among the most protected people on the planet, were forced to hide in undisclosed locations as violent extremists overran the Capitol. They're, violent enough to get into the Capitol. The anti-democratic message Wednesday's insurrection sent is chilling. Far-right mobs incited by the president over baseless conspiracy theories and a commitment to white nationalism breached one of the most secure places in the U.S. and disrupted a basic democratic process of certifying election results. But what it portends for both the future of the Republican Party and its response to the climate crisis is even more chilling. Um, the ingredients for this toxic soup that stirred extremists to take on one of the branches of government, as well as numerous coordinated attacks at the state level, will only grow more plentiful and powerful as the climate crisis worsens. If elected officials aren't ready to take a clear-eyed look at the damage done on Wednesday and what awaits us in the coming hotter decades, we'll face even more extreme assaults on democracy and the most vulnerable among us. That is true. True story. The violent assault on the Capitol followed a pattern increasingly familiar in the Trump era, though it's been an undercurrent in American society for much longer. Blatant lies about the election being rigged. There were some lies. I'm going to say there were some, some ridiculous things said about it, and then there were some, more factual things said about it. Again, I refer to Convo Couch and Nico House if you guys want to watch some lefties talk about election rigging. And they bring some facts. Blatant lies about the election being rigged were spread over social media and used as a cover to convene in Washington, D.C. and storm the Capitol. Extremists clashed with police, met minimal resistance outside, and were allowed to mill about the building for hours, trashing offices and posing in the Senate for parlor-worthy photos. Then they were allowed to politely file out of the building, and only a few dozen were arrested. That number may rise, but the initial response pales in comparison to how Black Lives Matter protesters were treated this summer. True story. Not to mention climate-related. Well, hold on. Let me push back on this statement. I saw quite a few clips of people on CNN talking about how, a little bit of violence, it's going to happen in a protest, right? So they were kind of like somewhat dismissive of, some of the things that went on around the Black Lives Matter protests. Again, there were a lot of factors involved, more complicated, more nuanced than a lot of people, some people would like have it be, but did they meet more resistance from authorities? Yes, they did. But I also do remember politicians saying like, F COVID and F the lockdown orders and F stay at home. This is more important. People being out rioting in the streets or protesting around Black Lives Matter is more important than a pandemic. Like all of a sudden it became more important than a pandemic. So super kind of hypocrisy statements going on from the left as well there around Black Lives Matter. So I don't, hey, if you want to just go for the partisan line, that's fine. But, all good. Not to mention climate-related protesters like Fire Drill Fridays, where police created a huge perimeter to cordon off press and onlookers and brought in buses to process protesters who were arrested. True story. Look at what the UK is doing to Extinction Rebellion right now and have been doing to Extinction Rebellion. They are coming down on them very hard. When at the same time that they're saying they're coming down on them hard legally, at the same time that they're saying yes, we'll finally admit it. It's a climate crisis. Yes, we must do something. But damn, don't you ever get out in the streets again and protest like that. Or it's Creighton's. It's Creighton's. Wednesday's insurrection and law enforcement's frail response are eerily similar to what happened this summer when right-wing militias spread conspiracies about wildfires in Oregon. In that case, extremists sowed confusion to assert control over regions engulfed in smoke, setting up armed checkpoints and threatening journalists. Law enforcement turned a blind eye, and in the case of one sheriff, even briefed extremists. That happened. At the time, experts told me it was in part an attempt by far-right figures to see what they could get away with. The lesson in both cases is that the pushed boundaries didn't snap back. The permissive nature of law enforcement and people in power more than 120 Republican representatives and senators voted to decertify state election results based on lies after the mob invaded the Capitol building, opens the door to further violent probing. Violent probing, yikes, that sounds painful. Now, I'm a firm believer that an assault on democracy or unlawful behavior during a climate-fueled disaster alone should be reason to hold people to account. What about people, so hold on though, what about people really upset about the climate crisis? What if people show up in mass, demanding that the government do something radically different in the face of climate change? Are those people assaulting democracy? What about when it's your side, Brian Kahn? Are those people assaulting democracy? What about Extinction Rebellion? Upsetting the UK way of life. Assaulting, and endangering the violence and the endangerment of people. Trying to, shake people awake about the climate crisis. But looking at the two events in tandem and seeing the climate future that awaits us is what really raises my alarm bells and should raise those of the people in power. Pretending this will pass or offering broad platitudes that we are better than this will ensure more terror. I can assure you that the climate crisis will ensure more terror. Climate change is chaos by nature. It means more powerful storms, more intense wildfires, more extreme floods and droughts. It is an assault on the weakest among us. And decades of the right-wing mindset of small government have left the country with fewer resources to deal with the fallout. As the summer's wildfires show, the far right will be there to try to fill the power void. Those fires occurred in a predominantly white region. There's a strong strain of white nationalism and neo-Nazism that ran through Wednesday's insurrection. And it's easy to imagine what will happen when flames or storms hit places that are predominantly black, brown, or indigenous. In fact, we don't need to imagine it at all. We've seen it in the gunman who showed up at a Walmart to kill immigrants whom he falsely blamed for putting strain on the environment. Really? Okay. And we saw it in the white vigilante violence in the vacuum after Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans. We've seen it so frequently it even has a name. Uh-oh, here it comes. Eco-fascism. Okay. He went there. He went all the way there, eco-fascism. Okay. This is a hodgepodge of ideas. This is like all over the place. But anyways, I'm going to keep reading because it's interesting. I want to see how he ties this together. After Wednesday, the boundaries of permissible violence have now expanded to a distorting degree. At a time of increasing climate instability, white supremacists, neo-Nazis, and other extremists literally took the halls of power and got away with it. When climate change upends communities with far fewer defenses, communities that hate groups already scapegoat, the results will be catastrophic. It's never been clearer that a large chunk of the nation's top Republican leaders will embrace and even fuel this extremism and hate. Yeah, Mad Max is Mad Max is going to be super crazy, right? That's why, nobody wants to see that kind of shit. Nobody wants to see that kind of future. I'm one of those people. I really don't want to see that kind of future. Where it's going to be people with guns against people with guns. And, I don't know. I think at that moment, racism is going to be the least of our worries. Because it's going to just be like brutal survivalism, right? So, the Venn diagram of people who push election denial and climate denial has near perfect overlap, but even if these figures deny the climate crisis, they'll still look to exploit it. At the end of the day, their goal is to use easy to disprove lies to build and consolidate power. Fixing a mess like this absolutely has to be part of the process of addressing climate change. Accountability for those who incited extremists is a good place to start. Emily Atkin of Heated noted on Twitter in the wake of the Georgia special election that gave Democrats the Senate that democracy reform is climate policy, and I have to agree. All right. I'm down with that. I'm down with that idea. Democracy reform. Could it be that people are angry about the way that democracy is not working for people? You know? For people of all stripes and all beliefs? A strong federal response to climate change that both draws down emissions and protects people from the impacts already in the pipeline is also crucial. Well, yeah, telling people the truth would be super great place to start. Because you'd have if the mainstream media told people the truth, the mainstream media, who is doing outright denialism and soft denialism, are allowing people to have really messed up ideas about climate change, whether they're neo-Nazis or white supremacists, or whether they're just, regular ass people who are just like, it's not that bad, right? Liberals, leftists, who are supposedly progressive and supposedly know all there is to know about climate change. I mean, it's okay. Hopefully we'll get to net zero by 2050 and everything will be okay. That's as dangerous as outright denialism. Why not start with telling people the truth? You might you might do well with telling people the truth. And that goes for every flavor of mainstream media, liberal or conservative. Decades of weakening the federal government and proselytizing about the power of the individual has left millions exposed to calamity. Well, yes, ding a ding. Rebuilding the federal response to climate change and ensuring it also engages everyone in moving the country forward. All right. Through good-paying jobs and a just transition for frontline and fossil fuel communities are essential to beating hate groups into the background. None of this will make the fascism on display fully disappear overnight, but doing nothing or insisting we turn the page opens the door to something much worse. Tell the truth, tell the truth, tell the truth, tell the truth. If you wonder why so many people believe conspiracy theories, or if you're concerned about conspiracy theories, could it have something to do with the fact that people feel like they're being lied to on a daily basis from the people that are supposed to be telling them the truth? From the places that are supposed to be giving them information and truthful information, do you think people feeling like they don't get the truth from those places or real information from those places? Do you think that might be a reason why people believe it's all a conspiracy, or that people are plotting against their well-being or their best intentions? Do you think that could have something to do with it? Caleb Rochester says this guy is a doofus. Witty moniker. And there you go. That's a really good point there, witty moniker. Telling the truth, people don't want to hear it, so I've stopped talking about it. Right. So when sometimes you tell people the truth and they're like, nah. That's not Trumpers. That's people on the left. No, please, no. You're a conspiracy theorist. No, I won't listen to you. I won't. I will not. This is just too much. That's how the adults on the left act. So I don't, I don't know. Oh, Duncan McCown, good quote. Extremism in defense of liberty is no crime. That's a quote from Barry Goldwater, by the way. I'm not an admirer, but he wasn't Steve Bannon. Well, extremism in defense of liberty is no crime. That sounds like something JFK would have said. What's the quote? But from MLK. Or is it from MLK or JFK? I don't know. I'm missing my source of this quote. The quote about making violent revolution inevitable if you don't listen to the demands of the people, right? If you can't respond to the demands of the people politically, you're ensuring that the demands will be heard in another way, and usually that way is kind of violent, right? Usually it's not like, "Please, sir, may we have some more?" Usually it's a lot more violent than that. Let's move on. This from David Sirota. Guys, we won Georgia. Here we come. We're going to get everything we want. Everything's going to be better. It's going to be honey and molasses for everybody. Wait a minute. Hold on. Joe Manchin, who's a Democrat, is worth $7 million and is now threatening to single-handedly deny $2,000 checks to the 70% of West Virginians who would be eligible for the checks at a time when his state is facing mass starvation. Who is Joe Manchin? A lot of people don't even know who Joe Manchin is. Now that you mention it. Millionaire Joe Manchin threatening to starve his constituents. Joe Manchin is a blue dog Democrat from West Virginia. He's notoriously conservative. Millionaire West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin on Friday threatened to single-handedly block new $2,000 survival checks to millions of Americans, including hundreds of thousands in his own state, which is facing growing starvation during the COVID-19 pandemic. Manchin told the Washington Post he will absolutely not support a new round of $2,000 survival checks that congressional Democrats and President-elect Joe Biden promised to send out if Democrats manage to win the two Georgia Senate runoff races and take back control of the United States Senate, which they did on Tuesday. Oh my God, that Mitch McConnell, he's so fucking evil. Oh God. Thank God he's gone. He's gone. Hillary Clinton tweeted out, Minority Senate Leader Mitch McConnell. Oh, but wait. Joe Manchin. Blue dog Democrat. Meaning he's a Republican. He's a Democrat in name only. He's a dino. No, I don't want this. I'm going to block this. Yeah, you guys are winning. Democrat, vote blue no matter who. We're winning. We're winning all the way to losing. How is the money we invest now going to help us get jobs back and get people employed? And I can't tell you that sending another check out is going to do that to a person that's already got a check. Holy shit. This guy sounds like Mitch McConnell. Guy sounds like any other Republican senator, congressperson out there saying, no, we don't need it. They don't need it. Even investors were upset. The stock market quickly tanked after the report about Manchin's opposition. Investment bank Goldman Sachs had just finished adjusting its expectations for economic growth based on the idea that the Democrats' Georgia win would mean an additional $750 billion in aid, according to a Bloomberg morning email. Manchin's opposition to survival checks could be especially costly for his constituents. They were just saying this exact thing about Mitch McConnell. This guy is going to block $2,000 checks. He represents Kentucky, one of the poorest states in the country. So a lot of the people of Kentucky would have really been helped by $2,000 checks. So he was blocking his own constituents from getting help. And when, all right, meet the new boss, same as the old boss. My God, I can't wait till we get a Democratic majority, just like California. And golly gee, we'll just live in a progressive wonderland of utopia. We'll plant our flag in the progressive wonderland of utopia. Don't forget, guys, that the Democrats, when they brought the $2,000 checkup, they bought the $2,000 checkup last time, a couple weeks ago. Mitch McConnell said no, and the Democrats conceded in the majority. Otherwise, what I'm saying is, they could have mounted an opposition, and they didn't. They could have pressed McConnell, and they didn't. So when you're a lefty or a liberal or a Democrat or a vote blue, no matter who, and you don't really understand how politicians are fucking you from all sides, and you just think that Democrats are just the best and they're just all progressive and they're just gonna do the greatest thing for you, and you don't understand how you're getting screwed. No matter who's in office, no matter who controls the Senate or who controls the Congress, you're just going to get screwed. When you don't understand that, then you might, I don't know. You might want to kind of listen to the people that are telling you, hey, we need something a little bit better than this. We need something a little bit better than Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. I was going to read this article, but I don't really have time, guys. But I am going to just read a few tweets that I find interesting on the subject of censorship. Abel writes 1,600 plus. There was something trending on Twitter. Twitter's next ban. So people are like, all right, we banned Donald Trump. Who are we going to ban next? Let's go. Twitter's next ban. So that's the whole context of this trend on Twitter. But Abel says 1,600 plus people think that they have the moral authority to ban others, not like it incites violence or anything, which is a really great point. Like, how does banning people or deplatforming people, an entire portion of the United States, how does that not make people more upset or more pissed off or maybe feel like they're being martyred, like they're being wronged unduly? How does that not stoke the flames of resistance? You think that's gonna calm people down? Shutting people up is gonna calm them down? I don't know. Look, I'm not a fan of Trump. I'm not really a fan of Trumpers, and there are a whole lot of things I disagree with, but I don't know if this is the best way. Michael Tracy, this is from a couple days ago, but what people don't know is that Congress passed a resolution stating that the president could not withdraw troops without congressional approval. It used to be that a president could not go to war without congressional approval, and now that's totally gone, right? A president can just start any old war he wants, or they could just start sending in troops, and then they go, "Oh, are we at war?" No, we're not at war. We're just doing some actions over here. So basically, the president can just go to war whenever he wants. They can make war however they want. You don't need congressional approval. That doesn't have to be. Nobody has to vote on it. Nobody has to say it's okay. But now you have to say Congress has to say it's okay if you want to take troops out. Why did they do this? Because Trump wanted to take troops out. You can't do that. We can't get out of a war. What are you, nuts? How the media allocates its outrage is itself outrageous. Nonstop bottom feeding outrage over stuff like a ridiculous rambling phone call. They're talking about his phone call to a Georgia official. Zero outrage over the fact that the Congress just statutorily barred the president from withdrawing troops from the longest war in U.S. history. It is fine that we have been in Afghanistan for 20 years. It is fine. That is totally fine. And damn you if you try to end this war. Damn you all to hell. You are wrong. You are wrong. And you might incite violence. If you tell people you want to withdraw troops from a war, you ever stop to think that maybe people don't want to be in a war? That a lot of Americans might think it's stupid and wasteful and hurtful and harmful, and that people, that it's needless to have ceaseless war? You ever think that maybe the majority of people feel that way about war? Michael Tracy also tweets out, the new corporate authoritarian liberal left monoculture is going to be absolutely ruthless. And in 12 days, it is merging with the state. This is only the beginning. True story. Taylor Hudak tweets out, the true authoritarians are the people who are cheering on this censorship. Lastly, Nico House tweets out, they just banned Parler from Google Play, and they're about to do the same on Apple after DC politicians demanded it. This is literally the fucking definition of fascism. Wake the fuck up. True shit. Anyways, and I say all that to say, if you believe I should be able to have this channel and say whatever I want to say on this channel, if you like this channel, if you follow this channel, if you enjoy this channel, because this channel walks on the wrong side of the establishment narrative once in a while, if not every day. You should be against it too. Straight up. Straight up. No, but. For the biosphere says true fascism will likely come into being with the Biden-Harris administration. Caleb Rochester, slavery is freedom. Yep. Or, you know what, I'd like to write it another way. Safety is freedom, but what is safety? Safety is going to end up looking like slavery. I want to be safe. I just want to be safe. The ministry of love. Yes, lightning rod. Yeah, Cure Hikes, you're right. Political monoculture, indeed. Yeah, right. Duncan McCown, he was right on the money. Political monoculture. There's only one way to think. You can't think any other way. Sounds like hate speech to me. Guys, I think I've reached the end of my time. Thanks for riding with me on the quick time change. Kevin Shanholter tonight, 7:30 Pacific Standard Time, live stream with Greta Thunberg and the Dalai Lama. If y'all are interested in checking that out, I think I might check that out. I'm interested to hear that conversation. But thank you, my friends on Rockfin, hanging out with me on Rockfin. Thank you to you all who show up in the chats every single day. Tomorrow, I'm going to be back early. I'm going to be at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So 1 hour earlier tomorrow, guys. And I will see you all next time. Nazmanab's oppression is safety. Kuro Hikes, it hasn't been diet fascism if you're black, I'll tell you that. I'm 100% positive about that, yeah. Kirstein, I just don't reach the end of your rope, Kevin. I'm trying not to. I don't know. I'm holding on. I don't know. I mean, some days it's the end of the rope. Other days, it's another day. I'll let you know, though. It'll probably be pretty obvious if I'm reaching the end of my rope. All right, y'all. Until next time, peace.